Hi, everybody. This is Chris,
This is Matt.
and this is Defender of the Crown. And
Yes.
if you're joining us for the first time, this is normally where I say, this is not a review.
Are you not going to say that today?
I'm going to do a small review of this in just a moment.
Okay.
We're actually going to have a slight review part before we get
Wow.
into it. I know, I'm throwing everything off.
These times are so uncertain already. You can't be starting to do reviews of games.
Well, I'm not going to necessarily review the game. I'm going to review a certain port of the game. And since
Okay.
we're delving into it, basically, we both played the good old games version
Correct.
and had a hard time with the controls, like a really hard time with the controls.
Yes, on both the DOS, the good old games version has the DOS and the Amiga versions bundled, and you can choose. And I tried them both, but
Yeah.
that's all I tried.
Um, I was talking to somebody on Twitter who was like, "Yeah, I remember loving this game back in the day on the Amiga." I'm like, "Did you though?" I'm like, "What were you using to control it?" And they said a joystick. You can't use a joystick in this version. And so I went and looked at the reviews, and sure enough, this thing's getting blasted because it's a bad port.
Yeah.
I am not going to say I recommend you find a hacked version for an old Amiga emulator and use a joystick, because that would be wrong. Maybe.
Right.
But
Right. Yeah. Never pirate games, but if you were gonna play this
and you had an Amiga version with the joystick, that would be a
properly
better way to
licensed, that's
play
how
it.
you'd want to
Yes.
play it.
Yeah, I would play an Amiga version with a joystick if I could get my hands on it. And so I'm starting with that review because I feel like, knowing that we got a bad thing.
Yeah, because this brings me to my additional disclaimer I wanted to add to today's show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've probably said this before, but I think it bears repeating in this case. Uh, if we really hate a game, please don't feel bad about liking it,
Mm-hmm.
or and don't be mad at us because you know we're just two idiots. Like, because I really hated this game, and talking about it prior to uh, on like Discord and all over the place, I get the impression a lot of people loved it. And like you said, it's probably because of the port that we played, but
Yeah.
man, but so don't feel bad because we all
Well, and I think one of the things that's interesting about our show, and I think it's part of what keeps our community good, is that you and I occasionally disagree. And we
right.
disagree, and we can talk about it and stay friends and come back in a couple weeks and do it again.
Right. And I'm not you put this game on the list. I am not mad at you. I am mad at the game,
Right? It's not an.
and that's fine. Like
Yeah.
it's okay to like things and it's okay to hate things. And just because I hate it doesn't mean you're wrong for liking it.
Right.
That's like my disclaimer that probably didn't need to be said, but I don't want to alienate people who like this game because it really pissed me off, and I'm probably going to say a bunch of mean stuff about it, and you know.
Probably. You want to know what's great? That totally segues me into the next thing, and we're going to get accused of scripting again because, while we're talking about not hating people, I want to thank two people.
Yes, let's
Let's start with a
thank people.
positive thing.
Yeah.
First off, Philip from Discord
Yes.
is made us a new logo. You'll be starting to see in all our stuff. If I can afford a billboard, there's a billboard near my house that I'm going to see how much it is and just see
Do
if I
it.
can throw it up there.
Yeah, they're
Because it's
really
been empty
nice.
for a year, so I don't know. I figure I can get it for $20.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Really, really nice work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not graphically minded. I'm not good at that stuff, and I really respect people that are, and I think we both really appreciate it.
Right. What I love about it is he did some like more moderny, clean line stuff that looks good, and then he did this retro thing where it's got this pixelation to it that also looks like it came out of the Forbidden Forest.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
so perfect. It's so nailed the vibe of the show that I'm just tickled that it's there. And if we're going to thank him, we absolutely cannot not thank Isambard, who set up our
Yes.
Discord, set up our Reddit, kind of monitors those a little bit for us. These two guys, we're really thankful for the stuff they've done for the show and wanted to thank them personally in the show for what they've done because we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now let's go shit on
we
it.
care about our whole, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll get this video going here.
All right. This son of a bitch came out in 1986, published by Cinemaware, who their like mission kind of
Yep.
was to make games influenced by cinema so you can have the cinema experience but have it
As a
be
game.
interactive, which what the fuck? Like this is not a cinema experience at all. I don't know. Have you played any of the other Cinemaware games?
A few.
They
And
had
they all
quite
play a
few.
lot like this. Let me say, now that we've done our review part, we've thanked our people. Going forward, this is not a review. This is a book club style conversation we're going to have. And we're going to have some thoughts on this because we've played it for a month. No, this was a short game. We played it for a few days. Enough that we know what the game is.
Yeah.
And so going from there.
Yeah. So Cinemaware, they have like a mob game, King of Chicago. There's a Sinbad game.
There's a Three Stooges game.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Sinbad game was the other game I played. Now, when I played them as a kid, I played them all on Commodore. And I've seen an interview with the guys since then who've talked about they knew what they were doing. Like they would put these graphics on the box and it would sell 60 Commodore 64 games.
Oh God.
Because
the Amiga graphics?
The Amiga graphics. And because you would see, if you remember back in the day, if you were buying computer games, you'd pick up the box, flip it over, and you'd see pictures of screens.
Right.
Those were not necessarily the screens you were getting, and you had to look to see if it said like actual Commodore screens or like arcade screens shown or something else. And oftentimes you're like, oh, they're not even willing to show the screen of the computer I'm buying. I'm not buying that game.
Right. So as was probably the case here, because this graphically it's beautiful on the Amiga. It looks really good. Like there's nice flourishes, like that kind of parchment looking paper in the background, and like it's a really nice interface.
Yeah.
Or nice looking interface.
Right. The interface doesn't handle so well.
Yeah.
And I think it would handle better with a joystick. But yeah.
I think well,
should we talk about what the game is?
Yeah, let's talk about
before
what
we
the
start
game
just
is.
being like we hate this game. What is this game? First off, it's Cinemaware's first game. You said that. Came out on almost everything. And it's basically Risk with minigames.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it succeeds potentially as a Risk type game. There's some interesting twists to it as a Risk game, like you can't really see where the enemy army is, I believe. So you have to really pay attention to what everyone's doing. I don't know why you can't see the enemy armies from like a logical standpoint. It doesn't make sense. But it adds an element of like, okay, I need to be paying attention. Right. If I see him take a territory that's far away, I can take a territory that's closer and probably be okay. Right. So there's a little feeling of risk when you're doing that. No pun intended.
Right. Because you can't spread your army across all your lands.
Right. You have an army at your castle and you have an army that you're pulling around with you to take over new territories.
Right.
And that's one way to expand. The other way you can expand is by winning land in a joust, which I think we'll talk about.
Oh, we will.
later, because fuck that.
Yeah. Definitely with the mouse. Fuck it. But
yeah. And that's pretty much like the game. There's 3 mini games. There's jousting, sword fighting, and catapult. right?
Sword fighting, jousting, catapult.
I think that's it. The rest of them are just permutations of.
Yeah, I was
Like
trying to
there's
think if
the
there was
sword
anything
fighting
else.
can take place in a couple different ways.
Right. Yep.
But that's it. And so you get money for taking territories, which lets you build bigger armies, which lets you take more territories. It's the risk play pattern that we all have experienced on the tabletop.
And if you can get a good section of land beneath you where you're gaining money faster than everyone else, you win. You've won once that's happened. You just have to keep it going. Because you can only take one land at a time. You can move your army in your lands wherever you need to go, but you can only take one territory at a time. Same for them. Unless you joust. If you can win 3 jousts, you can possibly take 3 lands in a turn. Never going to happen. At least not for us. And not with a mouse. There's soldiers, there's knights, there's catapults. You got to buy different things. You can put a castle on the land to make the land earn more money. So there's some gameplay here.
If you made this game and just had it be like a Risk clone where you're rolling dice, or there's some deeper strategy with building armies, I think it would be okay. But the place that it falls apart and becomes, to me, totally unenjoyable and borderline unplayable is the mini games.
You're right.
Okay.
And we're done. This has been a short game. Thank you all for watching.
To summarize, Matt was right. The end.
Summarize, Matt was right.
Game.
I think if the mini games handled better or something like that, you'd enjoy them more. Here's the Catapult mini game.
Yeah, the Catapult mini game is the best of the mini games. Absolutely. So like you pull it down to a level and then you release it and you're trying to chip away the walls, and like when you do it right, the wall falls down, your brain releases some chemicals, a neural pathway is formed, and you understand what you're doing.
Right.
This is the only game that's like that.
Well, asterisk. You should be able to, because you see to the left, there's 2 more types of cannon shot.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to pick those up. And it doesn't say in the instructions. We will talk about the instructions.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
You're supposed to be able to use those to whittle down the numbers, either by throwing in a disease pot or a flaming oil thing, once you get the wall down far enough. And if you get the wall down further, the more wall there is, the more defense the enemy has, and they won't lose troops as fast. But you can also throw things in to reduce their number of troops. And if you can do a perfect run, you can throw a bunch of stuff in there. Okay, here comes the sword fighting minigame. We're going to do a bunch of these. Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I was scared we wouldn't get to see any, but we do. So.
Oh, God. This minigame is fucking terrible. It's so stupid. And this is where I'm going to start in on the manual, because it doesn't tell you how. It tells you, like, it gives you some tips about sword fighting, but it doesn't tell you mechanically how to do it. Well, look at you jaggling that mouse around. That's like what you have to do, and it makes no sense.
No. It makes sense on the Commodore version. And this is one of the things I'm going to say. The versions, I played the DOS, the Commodore 64, and the Amiga version for this video. All 3 of them handle differently and have different rules to gameplay. In here, if you build an army and add troops to your army, it doesn't end your turn. In the Commodore version, it does. In the DOS, I don't remember, but I know it's different. In the Commodore version of the sword fighting, you get a health bar at the bottom, and you can block. Nice.
You know, Sid Meier's. Sid Meier's gave us a lovely sword fighting interface in Pirates.
Yes.
Just steal that, man. Don't make your own where I gotta in what world does jaggling the mouse back and forth equate to sword fighting? It doesn't make any sense, and you can't tell when you get hit. You can't tell when you land a hit. There is no feedback to this interface at all. So Therefore, without any feedback, you're unable to determine if you're improving.
Right.
You know, sometimes you win. Oh yeah.
Hang on.
Hold on.
Things are gonna get
Hold
PG-13.
on, everyone. This is why you're playing this. Yeah,
this is what, because these pictures were on the back of the box. This is why a lot of people bought this game.
Oh, for real. That 80s hair. Look at this.
80s hair, little silhouette, hands looking like hands where they shouldn't be hands.
Yeah.
Children look away. And now I have a wife. I've rescued her from a castle. I have a wife. We didn't have a wedding. We just went to bed together. I love that. They could have had that whole thing be a wedding, and it would have been felt
vaguely
a little
cinematic, maybe vaguely, even a little.
Yeah,
nothing cinematic about this.
No, and it's just like it feels a little creepy now. Like at the time, it's like, well, of course I've rescued her from her castle. She's mine now. Like,
right? Yeah, it doesn't hold up against modern sensibilities.
No, it
doesn't
for
sure.
But it's a game mechanic, and I don't know what it does to have a wife in this game.
I don't know either.
Other than put her picture on my screen of.
And usually when I don't know things like that, I feel a little embarrassed for not having researched better. But the manual to this game is so fucking bad.
We've complained about manuals before. I can't think of a worse manual ever in my life.
This is... I would rather have no manual than the manual they gave you, because they make it seem like you can do things in the manual, but they don't tell you how. Like, mechanically, they don't tell you what to do with your hands to make things happen in the game.
There's no screenshots in the manual to show you the screen you're on and let you figure it out. And I'm betting it's because every version of the game has different looking screens.
Sure.
Because they changed it from... You don't do that either. This is a perfect example, and I kind of wanted to say this about... like even the port from Amiga to this modern version, but port from Amiga to DOS to Commodore, probably to the Amstrad and the NES and everything else. I should have played this on NES. I should have checked that out.
Yeah.
There's no consistency. There's no... The way battles look, the things you can do in the battles. Like, there's... On the Commodore version and the IBM version, when you're fighting, there's a flank or a bombard if you have catapults. That's not in here on this.
Right.
But let's just take in this joust for a second, because this...
Yeah, this fucking joust.
The rage wash over us.
So you got this big long lance, and you're steering it with your mouse. And I think there was a card that came with this game that supplemented the manual and maybe gave you some more information. Either that or I just found someone's write-up, but I think it was with the game. And it says you want to keep it on the X in the person shield, which you can kind of do. And like, I won a whole tournament once.
Did you?
Yeah. And then,
I haven't since the Commodore. I can't with the mouse.
Yeah. I won a whole tournament, and I was like, I'm getting this. Like, I'm getting better at this. And then I was like, okay, so I'm pissed off, but I won a tournament. I'm getting better. I'm going to play it again. Lost the very next joust. It's just... And the other thing that's really, really irritating is that your character that you choose has different skills, but you have no concept of how they map to the game. It doesn't make jousting easier. Like, it's just... It's ridiculous.
So I think it does make sword fighting easier. But here's one thing I found out. You're picking your guy from the main skills, right? Like, these are your skills. A couple of them, the skills on that page, are not the skills in the game.
How so? How did you figure this out?
Because, like, I clicked on one because I'm like, why would I not take this guy? He's like, when you add up, like, if you're like, average is 3, good is 4, amazing is 4, you know what I mean? Strong is 5.
Yeah.
His numbers, he just has more numbers. So let's take the guy with the most numbers. Went into the game, and one of them went from average to weak, and I'm like,
oh dick move.
Yeah, not cool. Not cool. But
like, I guess, like, that is, as uncool as that is, I still have no idea what the skills even mean.
Yeah, there's no... and this is where they want to make it cinematic. And they think that making it cinematic means not telling you anything. And I'm a fan of obfuscating whole numbers from someone, but you gotta give us a hint. Does a strong sword fighter mean you hit harder? You can take more hits? You swing faster? I don't necessarily need to know he's doing 3.6 DPS versus the slow guy's 2.6 DPS. I just need to know what I'm buying.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And like, it's extra frustrating to me because my strategy was, and like, if you have a brain, this is going to be your strategy. I'm going to win through winning jousting competitions because you can conquer, like you said, 3 lands a turn if you can be okay at jousting.
Yeah.
But that's further complicated by the fact that jousting interface is just trash, and it seems to be arbitrary whether you win or not. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure there's some programming behind it, but it gives you no feedback about how you're doing.
Yeah.
If there was a little circle that was like shrinking in as you got closer to the guy and you had to keep your lance in there, that would be something. Like, then I would know, oh, yeah, my lance was out of the circle. I get it. My bad. You know?
Something. Like, you should be honing in on the middle of that guy's shield. And, I mean, the shield's getting bigger at you, but your bounce is so dramatic on the thing that...
Yeah.
It's unplayable. I mean, obviously it's not. People have played this game. But I still think with the joystick, and when I went to the Commodore version, because you're nudging and it's a digital nudge to a direction and then you stop, where sometimes I'll take my hand off the mouse because I think I have it in the right position to let the lance do its thing, but I'll bump it what I think's a smidge, and the lance will shoot to the left.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a horrible interface. I will say, okay, so the DOS version of this game looks like a pile of dog shit. Actually, that is insulting to dog shit. It looks really bad.
My eyes was my note for the DOS version's graphics.
But what it does do, and this is like the thing that this Amiga version, one of the many things it needed, it gives you the ability to look at the fucking map in a tournament. That drives me crazy. I have to keep the whole map, who everyone is, in my brain, so I know when I go into the tournament who to joust so I can choose the land I want.
I guess I never tried to joust for land in the Amiga version because I'm just like, nope. But Commodore too. You go to the thing and you pick what territory you're trying for.
But they obviously put in so much work into this Amiga version because it's beautiful.
Well,
like, it looks so good.
The Amiga version was first. So they made this beautiful thing, not worried about gameplay. Then gameplay notes started coming back in, and they fix it for the next version and the next version and the next version. And this happened a lot back in the 80s. So you'll have version to version to version. Sometimes you want the later version of a game and not the original intent, because some gameplay things have been added in that make it nicer.
That makes total sense. But, like, how could this get through any amount of playtesting and
playtesting? This was the 80s. They had like 4 people.
Yeah, I suppose.
And it was the first game for this company.
Right, and they probably like programmed it so they knew how jousting worked.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, they're like, oh, I know what I do here because this is what I told it I want it to do here, so I can do that. And now, I want to talk a little bit about the sound.
I loved the music in this game. It reminded me of Final Fantasy, which is music that I really enjoy.
I like the music as music. Like, if you played this on something, but I feel like through the sound chips and stuff, it got a little grating to me. I don't know.
Oh.
Like, if you picked it up and you played it on guitar, I'd be like, that's a really nice song. But just with the chips they used, I've heard better uses of the chips, if that makes sense.
Fair. Yeah. I played this in two days, and my experience was the first day, I probably played it for like half an hour, pretty short.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I really don't get this. And the way that I'm wired is when something seems bad to me or there's a problem, I think that it's my fault. Like, I must not understand it. There must be something else. And I think that's why when I hate something this much, I feel pretty confident, because after that I was like, okay, I clearly didn't get this. I struggled with it. I'm going to go read the manual front to back. I'm going to practice, and I'm going to get better at it. So then I came back to it, and I played for like 2.5 to 3 hours, like a pretty long time. Many games. Like I played lost many games.
Yeah.
And every time I thought I was getting better, it turns out that that was not the case.
Yeah.
And so eventually I just decided that I was never going to play it again, because I was getting like way too angry about it.
I had a summer in high school where I played this like all the time. I really had a good time with it. But I played it on the Commodore. So when I had the experience you had, which is, what am I doing wrong? I found my Commodore version, booted it up. I'm like, okay, let's try this here. Started noticing the differences. Started noticing the gameplay differences. Immediately noticed that a joystick makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And went, okay, this isn't me. This is the version. And then I thought, can we recommend, play the Commodore version, play the IBM version? So I went and checked out the IBM version. And after my eyes, after I scraped the cataracts off my eyes from the just blaring,
it's hideous.
It's so bad. And if you play for any length of time, you're going to have to mess with the speed in the DOS game, because like the first time I did the joust in DOS, like it's like, okay, they're lining up and boom. Like,
did you win?
Oh, I did not. And it was the default speed. I'm like, okay. So then I slowed it down, and then everything else was too slow. So you have to, like, in-game up and down that speed.
Really? That's interesting.
Sword fighting, too. Like, I was, like, messing with the speed to get it where I wanted.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't recommend the DOS version.
Don't recommend the Amiga version.
I don't recommend this version of the Amiga version. But yeah, that's then when I said, like, okay, there's a version that's better. Am I alone? Am I just not understanding this? So then I went and started looking at other reviews, and like, nah, this is a bad port. So, and that's why I wanted to preface this out with, we're going to review that port with, don't get that. I honestly don't recommend getting this game from Good Old Games.
Yeah, which is a shame, because it makes it so much easier. Like when I booted it up and I was like, oh, I can choose the version I want right in the game. This is fantastic. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
But it turns out both of them are garbage.
Well, and what's really frustrating to me is that's how most people are going to get their hands on this game today.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to get this version, and they're not going to have the joy I had that summer. And they're not going to have a fun little Risk clone with some cute mini games and, rescuing the princess and sword fighting your way in Robin Hood style. And,
yeah. Did you go to get help from Robin Hood in this playthrough at all?
I do.
Yeah.
I do go get help from Robin Hood.
That's the only like quasi cinematic moment. I'm really salty that because like in the manual they're like, oh, because you're an action hero or something, and I was like, oh, that's the only, like, don't just be cute in the manual and pretend this is like a movie. It's not.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
The thing we can say though is, the thing I'll give this full credit for, the graphics Cinemaware pushed out changed computer games.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's undeniably looks great. And I would not have guessed this was 1986 based on these graphics. I would have guessed late 80s, early 90s even.
Yeah, I'd have guessed like early, like 93.
Yeah. Yeah.
93.
It's really good. Like, look at the animated water. Like, it's really good.
Yeah. There's lots of little subtle touches. The art in this is killer. The art sells this game. Because you could play this game, you could take the mini games out and just do a Risk version map and play this game and have a very similar gameplay loop experience and have a good time. It's funny that the things that probably sell this game on the shelf are the things that make me not want to go back and play it.
Yeah.
And go on.
I was going to say, where's the intercourse mini game? That would be fun. It like takes
The
you into
hot
another
coffee.
little.
Defender of the Crown hot coffee.
Yeah. After hours.
After hours. Oh man. Okay, I was like now I don't even remember what I was
Sorry.
gonna say. I like this. I clicked ignore her cries because I thought it was they having me rescue someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, my wife would be mad if I went and rescued another woman. I'm like, oh, it was her.
Yeah.
She's still here though. I don't
Yeah.
know where. No, the porting the thing. Every time we see something like this, I've got to bring up both, Lords of Midnight and Bard's Tale Remastered as perfect examples of how you do this. And this is not an example of how you do this.
Yeah. Well, this is a direct port though, right? Like this, they didn't really give this a going over.
Mm-mm. They did nothing to try and modernize this. They did nothing to try and make this playable on the system. They're like, here you go. Didn't worry about, I can't make my joystick work with this.
Yeah. Yeah. If I weren't so mad, I'd say that I'd be willing to try playing this on the Commodore with the joystick, but I don't want to. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm salty at it.
There's an amount of salty at it, and there's an amount of it's risk. Like, we're going to play other Risk games in our playthroughs of other things. I don't feel any special attachment to this one without nostalgia.
Yeah.
If you have nostalgia for this and you can get if you're used to the mouse and you've played enough that it's comfortable and you can overcome that learning curve, enjoy. You'll probably have a good time. Most of us who are wanting to go back and look at something that we might not have played we're not going to have a good time. And that's too bad. And that's a problem of whoever ported this.
Yep. More
than the game.
Yeah, I'm willing to accept that as true because there are trappings of a good game in here, definitely. Hidden underneath the shitty feedback-less interface. I could see this being like fun as a concept.
So here I'm adding a bunch of people.
You're gonna start some shit, aren't you?
I'm gonna. Kind of want to show this. You asked about the Robin Hood. I think this is where I go talk to Robin.
Yeah, so you can go to Sherwood Forest, which is that big green turd right above your starting place. And he'll help you 3 times, I think.
Yep. And you have to take over the 3 southern castles. Then I realized, you got to actually seek conquest. You got to go conquest Sherwood Forest. You can't just click on it.
Sure.
Why not?
There we go. Yeah, we're going to get to see Robin Hood around the campfire again, right?
Yep.
I like that.
Talk to us. And you're like, I'll help you.
Also, the menu interface, I think, is trash because you always get the little thinking thing. And I don't know if you're supposed to click when you get that, but you have to make decisions in a set amount of time sometimes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, there's lags in Windows and stuff.
All right.
Yeah. No, you got to walk them down there too. This is one of my other things. Like, it would have been handy to, if you've got a contiguous thing, do some pathfinding and just zip you down.
Yeah.
There. I mean, I understand it's 1986 Amiga, and that might be a bit much to ask. So I got 100 and some troops, and then I got Robin with me, and I'm like, all right, time to go. Let's throw down.
Yep.
And we'll let this play through, but keep an eye on how many units the other guys get.
Yeah, it's not on this screen. This screen gives you no information. Oh, there you go.
There you go, buddy.
Giving that wall what for?
Yeah, I have a hard time with this because, I always miss the first shot because I'm thinking I'm trying to click to get in, and so I just fire a cannonball into the moat.
Yeah.
That's their warning shot. That's their free.
Yeah. It'd be nice if you could give them that fiery pot.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot some disease at them.
Shoot some disease, whittle down their numbers. Because here come the numbers. Go. 270.
Damn. Wild Retreat.
Yeah, Wild Retreat. But here's the thing. Like, I've still got this game saved. I could probably win this game. I could go take up the other lands. Eventually just outproduce him.
Yeah.
Win. It'd be fine. It'd happen.
But who wants to do that?
But yeah, it's not compelling enough for me to do that when there are other risk-like games. There are other strategy games I could play that'll have more fun. I'd rather play Lords of Midnight.
Oh, yeah. That's way richer strategy and...
way more cinematic, oddly enough.
Yeah, way more interesting.
So,
there's your desktop.
There's my desktop.
I guess we're out of play, so...
Oop.
Hey,
where'd I go?
So what was your peak and pit playing this game? What was the best and worst moments?
Best and worst moments. Man, that's a good question. How about you start with this? Let me think about this. Because I didn't actually write that down.
Yeah, my best moment was starting it up and seeing like this awesome intro screen. And I really liked the intro music because it was like Final Fantasy. And I was like, this is going to be a real good time. And my pit was that after I had won the tournament, thinking I had like managed to piece together how to be successful or maybe like accidentally develop the muscle memory to win at jousting. Mm-hmm. And then going back into it, doing what I felt like was the exact same thing I had been doing and losing.
Yeah. I got to say, my pit was the first time jousting and seeing how the mouse ran and realizing this isn't the game I remember.
Yeah.
My peak was Thursday night, this game we're playing right now, where I felt like I had a chance of winning. Mm-hmm. And what disappoints me about my peak is I got there by deciding I'm going to ignore the mini games.
Yeah, right. And I was not able to let go of the efficiency of winning through jousting. And so I just kept trying to joust.
Did you take the strong jouster character?
Yeah, the rat face guy, I totally took him every time because it's clear that that's how you want to win.
Well, it's definitely helpful. It definitely like speeds things along.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like, don't play it. Don't play it on good old games. If you want to do something else, you do you, folks. But
if you've got a way to play this with a joystick, if you have strong nostalgic feelings for one of the other flavors of the game, if you have no other way to play a Risk game and you really need to play Risk, here you go.
Yeah. So I guess that's that.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all I have to say. Yeah. Yeah, if you liked it, I'm sorry. Like you're not wrong to like it.
Not wrong to like it. I mean, like you said earlier, there's a good game in here.
Yeah.
It's just lost this version covered it up with some bad choices.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I said normally it's not a review. This one's kind of a review.
A little bit of a review, yeah.
This one's kind of a review. Still a little bit more of a book club, but also a little bit of a review.
Yeah, little extra for you.
A little extra for you. Our long game is still Shadowgate.
Yes, Shadowgate. I'm having a Shadowgate experience.
Are you?
I sure am. Yeah.
Good.
I don't want to spoil it.
No, we will talk about it in a couple of weeks.
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
We'll talk. It's coming. Our short game. If you liked Goonies and you liked Conan,
another Datasoft joint. Zoro. We're gonna rescue some senoritas.
Yes.
I'm excited.
I am too. I've never played this.
Oh, really?
Really?
So this will be new for both of us.
This is brand new for me, so I have no idea what I'm getting into. Other than I know it's in the vibe of that Conan and Goonies style platformer push stuff puzzle game with some action. So,
Do you think they're going to release another Zorro movie at some point?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because it's like they're milking every intellectual property out there, but no one's making a Zorro movie.
No one's making Zorro movies.
Well, if you're in Hollywood and happen to be watching this and decide to do it,
I think they tried with Antonio Banderas and
that sounds
Zeta
right.
Jones a while ago, and it didn't do well. I don't know what you'd need to do to make it work, but
Did he have the mustache?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm out of ideas then.
It's all the mustache, right?
Yeah, I mean and the cape.
And the cape. Mustache and the cape.
And then the sword, like under that quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like how do you not sell a swashbuckling movie, but at the same time apparently you don't.
Yeah, that's a sad story.
That is. Now I've made myself sad. And of course, this Thursday, Mo Deathlord.
Deathlord, a little isolation coronavirus Deathlord.
Come avoid going out in public by hanging out with us in private.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I care. As we established earlier, we care about everyone
Yes.
and want you to be healthy and join us on the Deathlord stream.
This is our way of helping people stay healthy. Stay inside, self-isolate. Watch us play a video game. Play along with us. Join us on Reddit talking about how you played, or questions, or concerns, or anything like that.
Or feelings, fears, questions, doubts. Whatever you want. We'll take it.
We'll take it. We have plenty of doubts. You're not going to add enough doubts to even be a notice on our radar.
Yeah, you're not going to overburden us. It's like, fuck, we're already overburdened.
What was that? It's adorable. Anything else, or should we say goodbye? Say we're sorry. We know a lot of people love this Defender of the Crown. I wanted to. I used to. I might still if I go back to Commodore.
Meh. I'm just mad.
Flock of
mad at it. So
I get it. All right. See y'all in a week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Big thank you to all of you watching, sharing, liking, subscribing, suggesting games, commenting on our videos, or supporting us on Patreon. We appreciate all of your support and look forward to sharing many more videos with you. Thank you again.